What's up, folks? Your boy NaptownBorn coming back at you once again. Anyway, how's it going, and all that good shit. So, when is age going to be a viable factor for Bernard Hopkins? Because, I mean, I think this would be a close fight, even if Chad Dawson, or even if Bernard Hopkins was a little bit younger. I still think Chad Dawson could give him a good run for his money. Now that Bernard Hopkins is older, and we can sit here and talk about how great he is at an old age and how age isn't a factor, but it has to be at 45 plus years old. It's got to be. There's no way around it. Age catches up with everyone. It doesn't necessarily mean he's decrepit or fucking gimped because he's old. Obviously, he can still put his skills to great use with high efficiency and get victories. But looking at the way he fought Pascal, I'm just asking, is that how he's going to fight Chad Dawson, or do you think he's going to change it up? Now, I know he's versatile, but he's versatile more in the ring than he is changing up styles from one fight to the next. Kelly Pavlik versus Bernard Hopkins looks a lot like Antonio Tarver versus Bernard Hopkins, for instance. You know, two different fights, two different opponents, very versatile in the ring, but the way Hopkins fought them, the way Hopkins himself looks very similar in all of his fights. Now, everybody's got a style. I'm just saying that style, Bernard Hopkins' style, even the dirty clinch, hitting the nuts on the other side of the referee, get away with shit, bend the rules type shit, I don't really respect that too much. But he has shown he doesn't have to do that at times. And I'm thinking the Pascal Hopkins shows up. I'm thinking he's going to leave himself open too much. I'm thinking Chad Dawson doesn't necessarily have to be a thrilling fighter to beat Bernard Hopkins. I don't see a good thrilling fighter right now, especially at that weight, that's going to beat Bernard Hopkins. We're talking about 175. Now, 168 is a whole different ball game. But at 175, there's good fighters there. But I think Hopkins would probably school, people like, say, Diakonu. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't think Dawson has to be explosive. His style is a kind of anti-explosive. People say he's boring. They say he fights, more methodically than he does with passion, and he does, and I appreciate that because I think that's exactly the type of style that can beat Bernard Hopkins right now, and not many others. It has to be that not thrilling, very technical, very plodding, very routine type of battle that has to take place in order for you to beat Hopkins, because Hopkins neutralizes your most explosive weapon. He neutralizes that it factor. He does. That's what Hopkins does. He gets inside of his opponent's skin somehow, figures out how they fight, and neutralizes their very best weapon. That's what he does. If not anything else, that is Bernard Hopkins' key and main ingredient to success. What's Chad Dawson's best weapon? You see what I'm saying? I mean, what is he going to neutralize? The jab? I don't know. Dawson does have to pick it up in the middle rounds. The way I see this fight playing out is I see at the very beginning, first 3 rounds, Dawson's going to start out in the first couple, and the first round's probably going to be a feeler. It might go to either guy. But the next 2 or 3 rounds after that, I suspect Dawson is going to win, and probably pretty cleanly. So at the end of 4 rounds, I'm looking at a 4 rounds to 0, 3 rounds to 1 type deal for Dawson. And then what happens to Dawson in these middle rounds just baffles the shit out of me. All right, it totally confuses me how it seems that he could beat the other guy. Like when he fought Tarver, it just seemed to me in the middle rounds like he could really put it on Tarver if he wanted to. But he backs off and tries different things, tries to stay away from the outside. I really don't know. I'm totally confused about what happens here. It's not like a mental shutdown. Not really. He's still thinking in there. He's just, it's like his reflex. It's like he's not focused. And you got to be focused against Hopkins. I know somebody else said that in the vid. If I can remember which vid said it, I'd give you credit for it. But the focus part, that's going to be a big thing for Chad Dawson. Focus. If he can maintain focus through 12 rounds, I'm not expecting Dawson to be some knockout artist against a guy like Hopkins. I'm expecting Dawson to touch Hopkins up more than Hopkins touches Dawson up. That's a hard task, but it's the right task for Dawson. He can do this. He's just got to stay focused in the middle rounds. He finishes strong as well. So what's going to happen is the first 4 rounds, first third of the fight, it's probably going to go Dawson's way. The middle of the fight, it could go Hopkins' way. If Dawson just does what he does a lot, and that old dog's new tricks adage that works, that could work out here. Like Dawson has been doing what he's doing for so long, is he going to start now? But can't he though? This is different. This isn't a new trick. This is just getting a little bit of a fire lit under your ass in the 7th, 8th, 9th round. Pick that shit up. As long as Dawson can pick it up, stay in the game in the middle of the fight, and he finishes strong. I think by the end of this fight, if Dawson gets his head out of his ass and stays in the fight, the last 4 rounds I think are going to be really exciting. Visually, like blow for blow exciting, and to like a boxing fan type of exciting. Not just a casual fan, but the type of punches that we might see, or the one guy trying to get over on the other guy. I just think the end of this fight has the potential to be really good instead of anticlimactic like a lot of fights end up being. But Dawson has to stay in this fight in the middle rounds. I think he's going to. I got faith in him. I am a Dawson fan. I'm not a Hopkins fan, but Hopkins makes you respect him, and that's why this prediction is awful hard. But Hopkins, it's not that he has great weapons, great speed, great power, or even great, foot movement. None of that. It's just that he knows. He's so much of a student of the game. He can be dirty, but he knows every single rule, all the ins, all the outs, and he neutralizes his opponent. Because Hopkins doesn't exactly overpower or out-technique anybody. Not really. He figures out what the primary weapon of his opponent is, and he neutralizes it. That was how Kawasaki beat him, because Kawasaki didn't really give him one way to shut him down. If Hopkins tried one thing, Kawasaki was able to come back with volume, and it worked out that way. I'm not saying Dawson fights like Kawasaki or anything like that. I'm just saying that he neutralizes your best weapon, and if you have a different, if you're not like Kelly Pavlik or Tarver or Pascal, where you're kind of come forward, maybe ambush as far as Pascal is concerned, but you have a weapon. Maybe 1, maybe 2, and Hopkins can neutralize that. I look at Chad Dawson, and I kind of see a complete package minus some hunger. But I'm not sure if that's just his mental state. I don't think he's that type of guy. I think he's a real technical type of guy. I think he could be real good if he focused more on the technicality and don't listen to people who think you need to be more exciting. He could end up being, a technical guy, kind of like, well, no, I won't go there. Kind of like Winky in an aspect. If you really think about it, he can just bust down. He's not exciting, but he can have exciting moments because he's so technical that he's going to catch you. And I think Dawson can be like that, but he's got to stay in the fight. If he's in the 7th and 8th round and he's getting tagged a couple times, he needs to make sure he comes back and tags Hopkins a couple more times. And then he can go back to his outside, stay away type thing. But I don't know. My opinion, the first part of, like I said, I'm going to recap. First part of this fight is going to go Dawson's way. Middle part, Dawson is going to stay in the fight, and by the 8th or 9th round, Dawson's probably going to be up 1 or 2 rounds, and they're both going to finish strong. And I think when that happens, Dawson comes out on top. Dawson by unanimous decision. It's my official prediction. I will get my my fantasy picks in by tonight. Deuces.